Hey guys, Bunny here, and welcome to Gaming Designing with Bunny episode 1. I might upload this to Bunny Bites, my second channel, for the foreseeable future, but the first episode will be on my main channel, my first channel, Epic Caricacy, to kind of gauge how you guys enjoy it, because no one has actually subscribed to my other channel because I never use it. So, what I'm doing is I want to make a game, okay? I've been wanting to make a game for a while. The issue is I have recording, streaming, other things to do. So I thought if I record a video of me making portions of my game, I won't be spoiling the game because I'll keep some things hidden, but I will kind of learn how to game design and like you can learn with me type deal. Now I'm no expert and I need to look up the Unity API for everything. I'll cut out the parts where I'm actually Googling stuff, but I will kind of explain each thing that I look up so then we can both learn together. Okay, I'll be writing in these little text documents to help us out along the way to document what I'm doing so you guys can remember. I might even like save the file and like leave it on the end of a video or something so you guys can look back on it. So episode 1, I want my first enemy. I have a basic player object. I'll redesign it later on in the series, I think, to kind of make it work better. But the player, it's a horror game, and the player will have a flashlight. Now, I want some neutral characters that walks away from the flashlight when you look at it, isn't too violent, isn't too like scary. It's just kind of like there in the corner of your eye, something a bit spooky to kind of raise the atmosphere. And I'm going to call them goblins for now, but I might change it up later on. I've got these dot points here of what I need the goblin to do today. So what I need the goblin to do is I need it to walk away from the flashlight. I need it to move closer to the player when not in the player's field of view. I need it to follow other passive enemies in the radius if it has its light shone on it. And what I mean by that, I was trying to find a way to write that better, but I forgot. What I want to do is if there's two goblins and they're in a radius of each other, like if they are within each other's radius, if one gets hit by a light, the other one will follow that goblin. And the fourth dot point that I need to figure out is if the goblin gets too close to a player, it will attack the player. So it's going to move closer, slowly, if the player's field of view is not on it. I'm not sure what word I'm going to use there, but field of view doesn't make sense. Yeah, if it gets too close, within a certain distance, it will attack the player. I want it to be a kill thing. So you've got to like keep an eye out on these little goblin things behind you. Make sure that they know like attack, but they're not like, oh, I need to run or oh, I need to fight kind of creatures, you know? I have in this game specifically, I have a lot of creatures designed to just spook, not to actually like cause any immediate threat. And there'll be only a few like actually threat-based monsters. I like that. I like that in horror games. But that's more of a personal preference, I guess. So I'll write in walking away from a flashlight. What will we need to program walking away from a flashlight in this game? So Unity uses a lot of different things that are very useful for a lot of different things. Now this is our little player character at the moment. But our little player, I haven't removed the mouse, so it still goes up on the above if you see my mouse on the top left, which is a bit annoying, but it's useful for getting out of the problem. So I have this, it's casting a light on things. You can see it, you can walk up to things. Things will be cast in darkness eventually. At the moment, I just have a background, no skybox or anything. And it can see things. The light kind of gets darker the further up it goes, that kind of thing. You can't look up too far. You can't look up onto this roof kind of thing. And that's pretty much what this character does. So at the moment, light is our only weapon. It could be more, but until I figure out if that's what I'm going to do, that's it. So we have a flashlight, right? Because I'm not a good artist. My 3D design skills and my art skills are not the best. I'll not do anything too drastic. All of my characters at the moment will be capsules, will be squares, and I might add some things in later on in my life. This thing will have a rigid body. Okay. There he goes. Okay, so as you can see, it's been a while since I've used Unity, as you can tell. The box just drops on the ground, sits there, has a jolly good time. It'll get hit by the light and it'll brighten up. Unfortunately, there's no real way to kind of tell. There's probably a way to code it. It's difficult and probably going to be taxing on the system more so. So to figure out how we're going to get the flashlight to work, we're going to put a ray trace. If you don't know what ray traces are, it basically draws a line between ray cast. What I meant to say, sorry, ray cast. They're the same things in my head. They're not the same thing though. So don't use them interchangeably like I am. Basically shoots a line. So it's like, so some shooting games use that. You use raycasts versus projectiles. I think Battlefield uses projectiles where they shoot actual circles, and if the circles hit a person, they count as a hit. Whereas Call of Duty and some other games do not use projectiles, and they use raycasts. So basically it shoots a line. If it hits the person, it's hit. And raycast is our best option because there's no drop off. There's no distance kind of range where it will drop and circle down. The light is a straight line. So we want a raycast for the middle, and it's a very simple code to just go, okay, so the distance between this and this, shoot if it touches it. One big issue with the ray tracing though is, if you have noticed, there is a field of view kind of thing. We'll figure that out a bit later. I believe it's possible. I mean, I know it's possible. Anything's possible in coding, but that's going to be a code that I have to apply to the player, not to the object, unfortunately. So I believe, okay, so I've got a basic understanding of how it works. I do know how it works, but I forgot how to implement it. So I can kind of figure out, this is going to be like a little test. This is the copied straight from the Unity API. I don't want to bother using this at the moment because I have also very bad commenting. I'm going to fix that up later kind of thing, which is probably a bad idea. This .transform.forward would probably be, put that there, put this here, and we'll put in debug.log. What are you doing right? Let's write a golden hit. Error? No error message. Interesting. Okay, so if I... You know what? I shouldn't have full screen that. It hits things. Okay, so if that, I will change it to... Can I do x equals? I feel like... Yeah, that doesn't work. Okay, so we'll do that. And then if that... What does the raycast return? The raycast will return when it hits something. I always forget the layer mask thing. Layer mask is annoying. It's very annoying. Bit shifting the index of the layer. That got me really confused when I did it a little while ago. So firstly, I got to figure out which layers are which. The layer 8 is post-processing. If I add a layer and change that to 9, that'll be the, I guess, enemy layer. And old cube here will be on the enemy layer. So we can layer mask these raycasts. Now, I'm still not really sure how bit shifting works. If I do that and then put it on 9, so like if I put that here, change that to 9, is that how that works? Because it's less than, because the 1, it starts at 0. Error? Yes, layer mask does not exist in the current context. Where do you expect that? No, you don't. You're just confused. There you go, fix it. Okay, now does this work? So if I hit that, oh, I'm dumb. Yeah, I forgot about that. So what you do is then you put in layer mask. I've done this before. So it's, what's the number again? It's tilde layer mask, which is inverted layer mask, essentially. Okay, and now, hopefully, now is it gonna work? There we go. Okay, it hit, but it's confused about how it's gonna hit. Which will be an issue, but we'll sort that out when we get to it. It is hitting it. Maybe camera is the better option here. Yeah, I should probably do it from the camera instead of from that. So we'll put in the script for the camera instead. We'll just call it cam script. Do I have two cam? I do have cam diff. Don't do that. Don't do that. If you're new to this, do not make things the same because you'll forget. And this will be our light. Because the light isn't actually correct. It's, put this here. Wait up. Is that where it goes? I always forget. Yes. So the light isn't properly organized. And so it looks like it's like directly straight, but it's not. It's a little bit diagonal. So it won't work as well. Now, Layer mask does not exist in the current context. Ah, because it's here. There you go. Save, whoops. Save thoughts game. Okay, no error messages. That's always a good sign. Now, goblin hit. Goblin hit. Cool. So it's hitting. Now, what I want it to do is tell the cube, our goblin, whoops, that it's being hit by light. Now, I'm not sure how to do that, so we'll figure that out as we go. Okay, my first thought is hit info is a possible thing. Now, how do I get hit info? Okay, so I figured out kind of how this stuff works. So this basically just summons a variable called hit. I change this to out and hit. Out should, if I've gotten this correct, change the raycast hit info and like make it go out. That actually goes in front of the layer mask, so I'll copy that. There's an argument missing. Argument 4. Are you sure argument 4 is it that? Argument 4. Hit info distance. Okay. So for some reason, I don't know, that feels weird to me. That doesn't really make sense to me why they would put the distance. I feel like the out hit should be right at the end, right? Okay, it's functioning. Goblin is being hit. Okay, now hit.collider debug.log maybe could help me here. Should be a cube. There we go. Goblin, plane, goblin, plane, goblin, plane. It's actually a pretty good raycast. And if I am, how close till the raycast? Ooh, actually, distance might be a bit too small. I might actually change that to 20. So it tells me the collider exists, which is good. It's a good start. What I really want to do though is send something to the goblin after hitting it with the light. Basically saying it's in light and it should stop. I'm going to use send message. Now I've heard send message is something people don't like doing, and I am not entirely sure why, honestly. I feel like you need to send information between scripts. So at the moment I'll use it, but use at your own risk, I guess. This is taking a lot longer than I thought it was going to do. I'm not sure how long the video will be. I'm going to try and keep them 15 minutes length, so we might have to break it into 2 parts. Now, if I'm certain that this works, I will put hit.send message. Okay. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to give the goblin a script. I'm going to call it goblin fear, because it'll just be, well, probably goblin movement or handling would be a better idea, actually. So I might rename to goblin handler, and it will handle everything. But what we want to do, so you want to make another function. We're going to call it fear, because that'll be what its function is. It's scared of the light, so it runs from the light. It'll take one boolean. How does C work in functions? I can't really remember. Is it bool x? There's a bracket expected. From where? Ah, I haven't finished that, that's why. So it'll send hit fear, and it will send true. Thoughts game. I guess it does not have a definition for send message, and no, oops, transform might work. With a lowercase t, I think. Yeah, that's right. Okay, so object at index 0 is null. If hit dot, does it have name? Does it send name? I don't know why I'm asking you guys. I'm teaching you. Okay, what happens if I do like, okay. I'll minimize that for a second. I'll put hit.transform here to see what it calls the transform of the object. I think that's just the position, rotation and stuff. It probably, yeah, it just says the goblin and the plane. Interesting. Let's try this. Might not work. The message has no receiver. It's still sending message. Like, look at this. I don't understand how this is working because it shouldn't be working. It says the reference script on this behavior is missing. But this isn't Goblin. This is Goblin. This isn't Goblin. So if this dot this equals that, then that's when you send the message. Otherwise, don't send the message. I'm not sure why it's sending it regardless. I'll put like an else. Just like maybe it's confused. The script on this game object, on this behavior, game object Goblin is missing. It shouldn't be looking at it unless I touch a game object. And message fear has no receiver. I'm doing a bit confused here. Okay, I'm very confused. I think there's something wrong with my other script that's causing Unity to be very confused about what's happening. Oh, so I might rename to Goblin Handler. This will be the end of the episode. Honestly, I gotta cut out a lot of this. There are so many things that go wrong when you're coding, and a lot of this stuff just stops working for no reason. And the only reason that wasn't working that entire time was because I named it Goblin Fear, and then I renamed it, and they didn't rename it in the mono behavior. So now it's added. Now it's all good. Okay, doesn't hit that. Yes. So now it's sending a message to the Goblin telling me that something is hitting it. Let's try it. Where's the little buddy gone? Oh, see, he went down. I see. Okay, we'll finish it there. We'll hold it off there. Close all these off. What have we succeeded in? Completed nose. When a flashlight is on it. We've completed what? Nothing else? I mean, we've got connections to the player with the add force. We can now figure out and connect to multiple goblins. It does not walk away from the flashlight, so our first goal is not complete. So I'm gonna probably maybe do a goal, an episode, and then we'll have like a series of each character, because it takes a while to code all these things properly. So now we know the flashlight is on it. It will react to the flashlight based on what we tell it to do. And our to-do list completed that to do. So we need to assign movement away from flashlight, which would just be a like function that's vector 3, and move the position away from where the light is coming from, which is the distance from the character from the goblin to the player. What else do? We need the radius. So maybe, don't know how radius is going to work. We'll have to maybe put a trigger on them, for a radius. So if it's touching anything with the name goblin, they'll be connected. I also could potentially make them contact each other constantly, but that might make the game run a bit slowly, is the issue. So we've still got to move closer to player when not in FOV. That's not as hard to do. Hopefully you enjoyed. I'm learning as we're doing this, so it's going to be a lot of me figuring out how to do stuff, you telling me I'm wrong, or you going, how did you do that? Because I may have not explained it properly. I'm hoping I can kind of get to a point where I can bust out like a rough character's design programming wise during maybe 2 or 3 episodes, so then you can go, oh, I'm enjoying, you know, I can follow this and I know where I'm going with this. So I'm going to cut out all the parts where I'm flubbering around and hopefully put some subtitles underneath telling you like what I've done and didn't explain, or what I've cut out, so you guys can go, oh, he's not as smart as he looks, or oh, thank you for explaining something that maybe I wouldn't have done otherwise. Thanks for watching. Please tell me if you enjoy it. Leave a comment telling me like if there's anything you need explained more, because I could maybe do like some bonus episodes where I explain a specific concept more. I'm going to kind of look up concepts that I've explained in this episode to kind of explain more about how they work afterwards. I don't know much about how they work. I kind of just implement them for fun because I know how they're implemented, but I don't know exactly their function aside from what they do. For instance, like raycast, I often have trouble with, specifically bit shifting the layer mask. I'm not sure how bit shifting works and why you need to do it for the layer mask. So I don't know. See you guys in the next one. Bunny out. make it afloat, you goddamn fool.